Hello, welcome to Andertons TV. My name is Jack Duxbury, that's the Maltese Falcon. And this is...
Andy from Roland. Hello.
Andy, we've done 2 videos already today. We're with the JUNO-X, which is out now when you're seeing this, but I'm getting to see it before any of you guys. We did a walkthrough video. I did a patch reaction as if you were coming into the store. And then in this video, you were saying that this keyboard's kind of reignited your love for Synthwave.
Yeah, massively. So if anyone doesn't know Synthwave as a genre, like some people call it like retro wave, all this kind of things, it's kind of like, yeah, it's heavily synth-based music. It's quite stylized, like by the 80s. It's influenced by, like, do you remember like Outrun on the Master System?
Oh.
You know, all those kind of things, or that movie Drive, you know?
Yes.
So it's all this kind of like these sort of warm 80s sounds, but somehow feels like it's in the future as well. So yeah.
You played some great examples in those other videos, and I was like, oh, I'd love to, if you're kind enough to show us how to make this. This is going to be a bit of a tutorial video on how to make some cool synthwave patches.
Let's just make some sounds, because like the great thing about the Junos was, you know, how quick it was to get results, and also if you're new to synthesis and you want to learn, you know, what an oscillator is, what the controls are doing, this is really good for that, because you know, you can just grab things and see what they do and just hopefully come up with some good sounds. So
let's high five and get into
let's
it.
do that.
Right, Synthwave, and you at home in Wales, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful Wales, rolling hills, and you look out that window, you go, I'm going to start a Synthwave track. Where do you feel that starts?
You need a few things. You need like a nice sort of like saw wave pluck kind of sound, I think, with a lot of decay on it. You also need some sort of like nice warm brassy sound, and you also kind of need a bit of a punchy bass tone as well that we can drive. So we can do a couple of things with that. So because we've got access to a few different Junos on here, the one that I would really like to use is the Juno 60, because I think that kind of has that sort of vibe to it. So I'm just gonna initialize the tone so we can start with a basic waveform.
This is great.
This is cool. So like between the 60 and the 106, I mean, you can use them both really on it. The reason that I perhaps choose the 60 personally is the filter, I think, is a little bit less aggressive. So you can, for the bass sounds in particular, it feels a bit more rounded to me. And also the sub oscillator, sorry, it's not quite as rounded on it. So I think for synthwave, it's quite good. But let's just pull some stuff down, because we don't need all of these down. Let's set our envelopes down to scratch. Our keyboard tracking, let's have our filter down. So we haven't got anything. So in our oscillator section, so these are like the basic building blocks of the sound. So we have 3 major things. We have the saw wave. So we have this saw wave, and then we also have a sub oscillator, which is kind of like bass sound below that. And if you have the 2 of them together, you can get a nice thick sound. We also have a pulse width wave, or some people call it like a square wave. And you have a controller where you can sort of change the width of that. So you can have quite a chubby sound like this, or we can make it kind of like narrow and stuff like that. But if we wanted to make like a sort of more of a pluck kind of synth sound, we're going to use the saw wave. And we want to go over to our envelope. So the envelope allows us to change how the sound sort of reacts, or almost like the shape of it. So if we've got ADSR, which is attack, decay, sustain, release. So like the attack is like how long the sound takes to begin. So if I have none, we get instantly, and if I push it up, fades in a little bit. Likewise, we can use the release control to sort of have it sort of fade out a little bit. So we're not going to have any attack on this, but we'll use the release. And I'm also going to bring down the filter a little bit, because we don't want it quite as bright. And then we should like... We've already kind of gone...
But Daddy, don't leave me! It sounds so spot on.
But we're missing the crucial thing, which is the chorus.
Hit me.
So we put this on, and now it's... And we have other effects, you know, so you could have like a bit of, just a little bit of delay just to help thicken it out. We can increase the reverb send. And for, you know, for those kind of like, and that's all you need to do. That's the sound done, really.
Yeah.
So it's like we don't have to mess around and you know, create sort of huge soundscapes.
And because it's brand new, I know it sounds boring, and you know about this, can we save it?
Oh yeah. So we do shift and menu, which is right, and then you just choose to save that tone, and then you can rename it to be whatever you want.
Cool.
And yeah. So,
awesome. That's great.
But
we did some videos a while back as well. Hopefully they may be linked in there, where we went through all the stages of synthesis. Remember?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
So
on the System 8.
He's a great teacher, Andy. But if you want to go in more in depth, we've got individual videos on that. So thanks you again. That's great. So we've got that. Was that the plucky type sound you were thinking about?
Yeah. So I tell you what, let me just save it so we can come back to it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
We'll just remember that was on number 20.
I just want like Don Henley to just come back and be like, "In the cool Don there."
So we're going to start again from scratch. Same kind of thing. So let's just take those off. If we now say if we want like a bit of a warmer kind of brassy kind of pad sound.
Yeah.
So we can still use our saw wave. And this time we are going to have a bit of filter depth because we want, if I increase the attack on the envelope and increase our depth on here, this kind of like, it should open the filter for us. So we can have...
When we're in, sorry to jump in.
Yeah, no worries.
But when we're in this 60 mode, Juno 60 mode, and in the envelope section it says pitch filter amp. I didn't have, on my 106, I've just got one envelope.
Yes, yeah.
How does the JUNO-X implement limitations? So, for example, am I limited to one envelope, or in this model, can I still use these, or do I have to go to JUNO-X land?
Yeah, so you are, when you're using the 60 and the 106, it kind of keeps it in the same parameters.
So there's just one envelope. I don't have a separate one for pitch.
No, so that doesn't work on this one. It says not available.
Just to point that out, and yeah, that's what I thought, and I'm glad it is.
Okay.
You know, again, because when you're in that mode, you don't have to worry about those. If you want that, you go into JUNO-X mode or Zen-Core, right?
Yeah. So on these ones, so when they're both lit, it means that the envelope is controlling both the filter and also the amplitude of the sound. But if you put it in gate mode, then it's just then your envelope is only going to be controlling the filter. So let's have some stuff.
I think that's cool how it.
And again, we need our chorus. Actually, let's not. We don't want more decay than that, really. Let's go that way. Maybe let's just have sub on the saw wave, actually. Probably taking it down a bit 2 octaves there.
Oh, great chords, man. Yes.
So that's kind of like our sort of pad kind of sound, if you will. I mean, we've probably got a bit brighter sounding, maybe a little bit more attack.
Was I? I'm so excited about this, right? So sorry I'm jumping in.
Yeah.
But they're one of the, and it seems weird that I'm getting excited about limitations.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, because it can do everything. But here, that's just octaves, right? And then, like it would be in the original. Mm-hmm. But when you go to JUNO-X land, it can work as a...
semitones and stuff, so...
But I love that it forces you... You're more likely to get sounds... Do you feel like you're making more legit synthwave sounds now you've had this?
Yeah, I think so, because I think sometimes when you've got limitations, it forces you to be kind of like, all right, well, this is what I can do, and Yeah, I mean, that's the great thing is like if you are in a situation where you feel like, oh, I've kind of got it and I just want a little bit more from the sound, then the JUNO-X is great for that because the JUNO-X engine, sorry, because it gives you some extra parameters that you can work with. But like you say, just working with your limitations and stuff is really, really good.
Sounds spot on. So we got a nice big pad, we got some plickety-plick. And what about the bass? Because some of the bass sounds earlier on were gut-wrenching.
So I'm just going to save this in case we want to come back to it.
Thank you, mate.
And let's initialize again.
I'm so excited that I'm in love with a Roland product.
That's cool. That's good. I'm excited too about that. That's good.
I'm being really self-indulgent.
No, it's all right.
It's like on the other. Sometimes it just goes over my head a bit. I don't want so much from it because I come from a piano background. The synths, this is the full extent of what I want.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it, man. Yeah.
Cool. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get our arpeggiator going because
It's awesome.
yeah, we want
Not just an arpeggiator, an I arpeggiator if you want it to be. I for insane.
So we want to go. Hang on a second. Let me just put. We just want a simple arpeggiator. But actually, I only want it to be. I don't want it to do an octave up. So
That's where the screen's good. Having you don't really notice the screen when you're in front of it. Again, we don't have a camera on it but you don't need to. But for things like this, it's great to have it.
yeah. So for like our synthwave bass, we're just going to use the square wave, and we're going to sort of. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that the LFO is controlling the pulse width modulation, like that. So we've kind of got this now, and what we want to just do is tighten up this. So that's that kind of sort of like.
And what was that magic thing you were doing with the high pass? Where you were getting like a low end bump?
So that was on the 106
Yeah.
engine. So we're on the 60 at the moment. So it's got a slightly different sounding
Interesting.
sub oscillator. So actually, like we're already sort of like this is probably the max weight end of it. But if you change to the 106, then we'd get a kind of heavier weight on it.
I'm sorry, Andrew's so brave coming with me throwing questions at him. But can I be like, oh, I dig this, but I want to go 106 now?
You can do, but we'd have to
save it, or like just kind of rejig it.
We'd have to sort of build it again.
Yeah, that's
the only
understandable.
Thing, you know, swapping the sort of synth engine out. But like, so this is kind of like, as I say, you just want for synthwave this kind of like low sort of pulse width thing. You know, those kind of like sort of.
Right, so we got a bass, we got a plinkety plink, we got a pad. Also, the JUNO-X very well hidden, not hidden, but like it's not, again not hitting you as like, oh, this has got samples in.
Mm-hmm.
But you had drum sounds in the other demos you were doing.
Yeah.
Would you? I know we've got time. Do you want to show us a little bit about the
drums?
drums?
Yeah. So with the step edit, I'll tell you what. Let me just save this sound as well, so we've got it. With the drums on it, so we have our 5 different parts that we can have as a scene. So 4 of those are synth sounds, and then the 5th one, which is labeled R, is for rhythm. So if I turn these on, we have some drum sounds.
Yeah.
And if I go to the step edit on here, so it's not, you know, I should be honest and say this is not like an advanced sequencer like that you would get on like the Phantom or anything like this, but it just gives you something to, you know, to be able to get something going.
It looks like on my OP1. You know,
yeah. So
I love that one.
So you can do up to 64 steps. I think we'll just do, if we just do 16 for now. So if you hit your kick, and then you can put them in like this.
So these are the 16 steps of the sequencer.
Yeah.
Right? I love that.
But I have not changed it to be, there we go, it was still on 64 steps, that's why. So yeah, in our step edit, so we've got our kick going, and then if I go to snare, and then you can have.
I love having the screen there for it.
Yeah. So you can just see what you're doing. I know this is kind of like just a basic one, but let's have that on there.
And that's an 808. Which ones do you use on your demos? Do you use...
So the 707 really.
Yeah, come on, go there.
So,
Shy, get your 707 out.
So there we go.
Oh, you've already got a 707, do you know? Yes, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's just that's that sound, you know.
And when we're in here, and all the effects and stuff work on this, right?
Yeah.
So cool.
So yeah, I mean,
You can
so,
put some.
so the rhythm part doesn't default going through the effects.
Oh,
it
no,
keeps
I
it dry
see.
and stuff, but you know you can
Yeah,
do.
don't worry
things.
about that. That is great. Right, so we've got beat, bass, playing. Should we?
Yeah, let's try and put it together. So
Is that crazy? Because I'm basically asking you to make a full demo song. This is my dream come true.
I'm gonna have to go to a new patch. I'm gonna have to undo some of the stuff.
And
that we've done,
you wouldn't do it this way. We just record it in to a DAW, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time. But what are you thinking now when some pleb like me asks that? Do you think, right, where are you going in your brain? You going arpeggio?
It's what to make it
Like when we were jamming along.
What, just to mean to make a patch kind of thing?
Yeah, you know, like we were playing some when you were doing the demos. It had like the drums kicking off,
Yeah,
and then the bass was doing It was just arpeggiating, and then there was a chord, and then I played some weird.
Yeah. So well, I guess like let me show you with
Sorry to ask, but that's why you're here.
with one of the preset ones that I'd made.
Yes, that's probably.
Let's go back to. So I had this synth pop one. So I guess like in a way this is kind of like what we've been working to sort of create. So on this we've got I've got 3 major parts going, and then also the rhythm section. So to kind of like hear them individually, we have that's kind of like our sound that we did before. Obviously this is one I've tweaked a little bit more. And then we also have this bass sound. Let me just mute out the drums, which is what we were trying to create before with that. But I've spent a bit more time on these ones. That kind of thing. Then the step edit, I programmed in the step edit for the drums. So basically the same kind of pattern that we were doing before. Let me go back out and unmute the drums. So, sorry. With the bass and the drums, nice and tight. And then in the right hand, we had, as I say, part 1, which is this kind of Pluck sound, and then I'd also built that kind of brassy. So when you kind of put them in, because we can bring in different parts together. So when I was doing it in the demo, so. And then I can swap sound. So I've got this kind of like.
I'm gonna go get some slim chickens. My favorite dip is Korean barbecue. Smearing it over you, Korean barbecue.
Yeah, exactly.
So I track Korean barbecue.
And then the other thing is we can choose what elements are targeted by the front panel controls. I think we said this in the other video actually.
But it's clicking for me now. Almost like track mutes, part mutes of the big core ingredients, right?
Yeah.
And then this is like a level below it, more minutiae. And in regards to the editing,
Yeah. So you've kind of actually got 3 sort of modes. So this is choosing like what we're controlling. So I'm selected part 2, which is the bass sound.
so all of this stuff.
So when we've got it running, what I'm controlling here is the cutoff just on the bass sound.
Great.
I'm not controlling the other ones because that's say what I want to have the control over. Then on this side, this is saying which sounds we're playing via the keyboard. So when I've just got, so because I set up a split, so 2 is being played by the keyboard for the bass sound. 1 is this Pluck sound, and then I can bring in 3, which is that pad sound, but maybe I don't want the Pluck sound if I just want the pad sound on its own. And then also while it's playing if you do shift, you can actually mute out different things. If I want to mute out the drums, because I'm not playing the drums via the keyboard. Like if I play a low C, I don't want to hit the kick drum. So you can press shift and just drop that out if you don't want to have the drums in it.
Wow.
Or likewise, I could have this and take out the bass part.
It's very cool because it opens it up to perform, like genuine performance.
Yeah, yeah.
And what I was saying, we're going to get out the other one, is that if you have been in front of a 106, if not, I was making the case in that little break that a lot of this real estate on the original really was just for selecting patches and didn't have anything in there. And what I love is this is so faithful to the original. But so if you're like, well, I don't want to do any of that, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But like all of this is opened up, and I actually love how hands-on it is. More so than some of the other synths I've seen, Roland.
Yeah, I mean,
pop out for me. But like you're a big believer in that. Like just give it a few hours or an hour or two to learn it. Unfortunately, in these videos, I really don't have any time.
No. I mean, the thing is, so if you've got a Juno 106 or a 60, and you'll come into this, that you'll, straight away you'll be able to get the kind of things that you're used to. But there is these extra layers of things that you can do if you're willing to sort of explore a bit more. So like the scene mode, you can almost kind of treat this as a bit kind of like your favorites, that you can quickly select different sounds as you're playing through. And then if in part is sort of choosing, because I say we can have 4 sounds together, so it's choosing, right, I've got this for part 1, which is like this brass sound on this sound, and then I could go to something else.
4 of the same, you have 4, right? 4-part multi-tone brass.
Yeah. So say this has just got a basic sound beneath it, but to turn them both on, and then I could control them both by the filter.
Love that.
Or maybe just the sound behind it or something like that.
Because that's the multi-timbral synths, that's the hard bit. We put these layers in, but how are you going to interact with it?
Yeah,
You've
exactly.
done it really well. Right. Thanks for going through that. I hope you learned how to do those patches. Sounds killer. Check out the other videos. I will also, on the last video at the end, they surprised me. I think the first one, it's got speakers in it. But one thing you showed me, and we haven't been able to show today, was I'm really excited to check out some other videos. I'm sure our internet's down, basically, so you can't show off this amazing patch loading feature through an app, right?
Yeah, so we have a product called the WC1 Roland Wireless Connect, which allows you, so it's like a USB key that we plug into the back of the unit, and using your the Roland Cloud Connect app on your smartphone or your tablet, you can wirelessly load in new patches.
Super quick, and it even plays a little preview. I got to see a bit, we can't show it off. One other thing before we leave and we go get some lunch. Do you want to show off the temperature thing?
Yeah.
Because that's like, on the face of it, yeah, man, if you want to, I genuinely believe that this is if you were going to buy an old 106, you've got to consider this now. Because and we're going to prove that as well. It's been proved loads of times that it sounds the same. But with these added functions, you've got to check this out.
So let's just go for a basic sound. So if maybe I don't need the chorus, let's just have a saw wave. If we go to the menu, and I'm going to go to the system, and sort of right at the top on here is, as I say, on the screen, you probably can't see it, in the top corner, it shows you what the temperature is. So at the moment in here it says 35 degrees C, and that's the actual temperature of the circuits of the machine inside. So you've probably experienced it if you're using like an older analog synth.
Yeah. I used to gig with the Voyager.
Oh right,
and
okay.
When we started playing, the lights came on, and it would all change.
Go out of tune because they change with the temperature. So this has this temperature gauge built into it, which is monitoring the temperature of the circuits in real time and then adjusting the tuning of the synth accordingly. So it kind of makes it like a living, breathing instrument that reacts to the environment that you're playing in. So we have it, so at the moment we've got it set on real, so it's actually what the actual temperature is in there. So it's kind of, because we're at a nice sort of room temperature, it's nice and stable, but if you want we can skew it. You see it goes straight away.
Yeah.
So it just kind of gives it a little bit more out of tune. With this feature we have on the JUPITER-X actually on there, and on a Jupiter 8 or an old synth, because they have multiple oscillators, there's a huge more amount of variable in it. So a Juno synth, they only have one oscillator, but we have multiple waveforms. So the overall individual tuning is a little bit less. It's a more pronounced effect, perhaps, on the Jupiter synth.
And you can age it as well. Just really subtle ways to get wobble in.
Yeah, so if we go, so put it back on real temperature, and then with the age, if we can age it by up to 100 years. So.
Yeah. You keep playing, man. Even there, just a little bit of wibbly wobbly, and I love it.
If we put it on, say, 40, because I say the JUNO-X is 40 years old. Just, as you say, just a little bit of wobble in there, kind of thing. And with the chorus like that, so. Just helps give it that little bit of vibe.
Something about it.
Yeah.
Come check it out in the store. Remember, Andertons is a shop, so we got links below. And I know some of you might not like that it's a shop, but we are. And I'm going to adjust it. I think that everyone comes into the shop. I'd argue that we're not as much of a shill as some other people. Some people, you know, I think we're flipping it back around. I really have no allegiance because I'm paid by the shop. And Andrew, we all stock loads of stuff. Come into the store, try it out. We have great financing options on there. I know in America they're always waxing on about Sweetwater, 0%. We do the same thing here at Andertons. Thank you, Chris. And thanks for Felix for doing the chapter markers. That was really nice to learn those sounds. Thank you, mate.
Cool, man. No problem. Anytime.
Cool.
Thanks.
See you soon, guys.
Bye.